Hello, everybody, and am I excited to talk about this topic today on today's podcast? And the title of this episode is How to Train Like an Athlete Without Quitting Your Job. Yes, you can still work the 9 to 5. You can still have a career. You can still earn money in your life. And you can still train for Hyrox. You can still train hybrid, right? And you can still get great results. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to debunk a whole bunch of things because the reality, guys, and I'm going to start this right away. We're going to be triggering a lot of things today. The reality is you just might not be doing everything well. And I hear it all the time. Oh, if only I had more time. Like men, especially men out there in your 30s, right? If only I had more time, and if I didn't have kids, and if I didn't have this, I would have been a pro athlete. It's like, really, would you? If we remove all that, it's that simple? It's not. And for a lot of people, and I've heard this my whole life in a lot of ways, if only I had more time, I'd be so much better. Now, with myself, and what some people don't realize is I've been coaching for 18 years. But part of that, and really in the first sort of 6-7 years that I was working for a family business, I was in a factory. I was doing some personal training on the side as I was just started. But I was trapped in a 9 to 5 longer. Like it was like an 8 till 6:30. Like it was a family business. You had to work, and I know the constraints of having to go to work and spending all day at your job, and then fitting in training around that. But back then, I still was training and I was still getting it in. And I know a lot of people in the same boat. So we use this idea that if you just had the day free, right? Like what does that mean? Does that mean that you'd just be completely like unemployed and just to be a full-time athlete? If this is the case, especially for Hyrox, like, no one's getting paid that much that they just train. You still got commitments. And that is also the reality, is even though there's a lot of high-level athletes out there that have time flexibility, right? They still have work commitments. So we're all working still in some way, shape or form. But let's dive into it anyway, because I'm going to go through today, right? I'm going to go through all the ways that you can be more effective with your time, right? To achieve amazing results, right? That the high level athletes achieve, because there's a few things that the athletes do that most normal people don't, and it has nothing to do with the time available. So we're going to go through that, right? I'm going to get you up to speed. We're going to get you fitter. We're going to get you better results, right? And you're also now going to have a stronger belief that you don't need more time, right? And you can get it in. Sometimes we need to reset the standard. We need to reset your belief system, and we need to remove those limitations. And that's essentially what a lot of people do. We just go, I would be better if I had that. Well, you would be better if you trained more, if you ate better, if you focus on your recovery, if you did all these things that you can still do, right? And yes, it is hard, but that's the reality. It's like, you want to quit your job or you want to be a Hyrox athlete? Of course you still want your job, right? Because that's paying for your house, your rent, your mortgage, your family, your kids. So we have to also just be realistic. But realistic does not mean you can't get results, right? Being realistic means we got to observe the situation, and we got to appropriately make the right decisions, do the right actions. Because a lot of these people, and you could be one of them, who also say, if only I had more time, are also the people that love to open a bottle of red wine on the weekend and go out and have dinner and go see the family and, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? We're athletes, they don't do that, right? So sometimes, right, and I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy a glass of red. I love a glass of red. Haven't had one in 2 years because I've been focusing on my training. So that's part of it, right? The shift of priorities, where we can easily just say, oh, if only I had more time. But this is the news. This is the great news I'm trying to tell you. If you really want to get good, if you really want great results with your training, if you want to feel good, if you want to get in great shape, if you want to perform well at Hyrox, you can. And I'm going to explain in the rest of this podcast how to do that. Oh, I'm getting fired up. This is a good one. All right. So what the results mean too. So let's clarify that as well from the start. What is the result? Because do you want to be on the podium? Do you want to be number 1, 2, or 3? Do you want to go to world championships, right? Because some people who feel like they don't have enough time, right, And there's a lot of people, because there's only very few people that want to land on the podium, like legitimately land on the podium. There's a lot of people that want to do really well. There's a lot of people that want to get in the top 100. There's a lot of people that want to set PBs. There's a lot of people that results mean so much more than just landing on the podium, right? So when we identify, like, so if you did want to become number one in the world, well, then, you got to look to who's the competition, what's the standard. All right, if you're in the women's, you got your Joanna Wetrix, your Tia Toomey's, your Gabrielle and Nicholas. You got to then go to that level, right? These people have a lot of time to train. They dedicate their lives to training, right? So unfortunately, unless you're starting to match their ability, right? And this is where literally there's very few people who want that, right? Probably you're going to have to make that decision. But for 99% of us who results mean not necessarily landing on number one, right? Why this is important for us to just, to review and reflect on what result means to you is because you don't need, to have 7 days a week completely free timetable to achieve that goal, right? For majority of people, you want to get faster at running. You want to go sub 110 in a pro singles category. You want to go sub 60 in a doubles race, right? Mixed doubles or guys, girls, right? And that can be done and that can be achieved, right? Without quitting your job, without quitting your day job. So again, we have to really get clear. What does results mean? Because sometimes we just assume that I just need more time. Well, you don't, to get the exact result you want. But like I said as well, if you are one of those people that you're like, okay, I really do want to become number one, well, you're going to have to do some things that are not normal, right? And if working a 9 to 5 like a normal person and being number one in the world, they don't line up, right? They don't line up. Or, so again, 9 to 5 doesn't mean you can't work full time, but you're going to need a job that it gives you some flexibilities, right? Like these athletes do. A lot of these athletes are coaches. They still work. They still put in 40 hours a week. They just have flexibility, okay? So we've got to understand that. Go back to, there's a saying that I like. It's not mine. It's from Mr. Tony Robbins. Don't see things worse than they are. Don't see things better than they are. Just see things for how they are. And by reflecting on the exact result, what does that mean, right? It just allows you to see what you have available. And that's what this podcast and this talk is about. It's about really understanding and identifying that you actually have the time and the space available to you, right? You don't have the excuses, right? You have the space available to you. Now, there's millions of people out there and everyone's situation is different. And I do totally understand that. So again, this is it's a general view on it, right? And, but, for most people, we are good. They say as well, excuses only sound good to the people who are making them, right? So that's the thing. If you think your situation is really that, talk to people, talk to a coach, reflect on that and get some feedback, right? Maybe it is legit. Maybe it's not. Maybe you got some tough decisions in your life that you've been putting off. I don't know. But it's most of the time we can create that space. Okay. So let's have a little walkthrough on how we can create some space. All right. Now, again, your result, going back to your result, and this is important. You need to reflect, what is my result? Okay. Your result will come with needing to make decisions and choices in your life. Okay. So again, and the better result you want, the closer you want to get to being on the podium, comes with more decisions, more sacrifices, and more discipline, right? So that's why there is no right or wrong in this world. But it's just like, if you just want to do a high rocks, cross that finish line, have fun, do it with your friend, right? Do you need to cut alcohol, not go out for dinner, track every single one of your calories and macros, train 6 days a week? No, absolutely not. You can do 2 or 3, high rocks classes. You can still have, some pizza and a nice glass of vino on the weekend, right? And you can still enjoy life and train and achieve the result you want, okay? But again, if you're someone that's like, I need to lean out, I need to get faster, I need to get stronger, right? I really want to do good. This was my time last time. I want to take 10 minutes off it, right? I want to get in great shape. I'm in my early 30s, right? I'm starting to get to I want to peak my fitness, right? then you can't go and drink 6-pack of beers on the weekend, or you can't eat out every night, or you can't neglect your recovery and your sleep. So again, with the higher level, right, result that we want, we have to then match it with appropriate level of decisions and actions. Okay, does that make sense? It should, very, very clearly. So there is no right or wrong. And this is where, and I see it all the time because I'm a coach, I see people is they're over ambitious, right? So goes back to like, don't see things better or worse than they are. They can be over ambitious, right? But then their actions don't match, right? So this is where we have to, like, this is where people will fail, because they start to go, right? And they want that result, right? But they're lagging behind on some decisions, on some actions. And this has to do with their beliefs around it. We're going to talk about beliefs in a second. But then, so what happens as the results don't come or the progress doesn't come, then that's where we turn to the excuses. Oh, I don't have enough time. If I had more time, if this, if that, because of my friend, it's easier for you, and it's easier. It's like, reflect back on you. See how we start then blaming the environment, blaming the externals, right? It's really a you thing. But the problem that first happens, right, is right from the word go. It's when the expectation and the ambition and the goal, right, is too far above what you're willing to do. What you're willing to do. Okay? So the question is, what are you willing to do? Right? And then look to create a goal or to achieve a result that is in line with that. Right? So that's why, you might be here going, I want to be on the podium. I want to be number one. Are you willing to go there? Are you willing to do the things needed? And if you are, I think it's a great goal. I think it's an amazing goal. Okay. So let's look at time leaks. All right. So we're talking about time right now. This could be triggering for I don't know who, but like, I believe it, right? And I'm included in this, right? We're all included in this. Is we all have addictions, right? We are addicted as hell, right? Social media, movies, Netflix, binge. I don't even know all of them, because I literally try to spend no time on TV. But even when I spend 30 minutes, like if I'm on my phone and I spent 30 minutes or 10 minutes just like doom scrolling, I snap out of it and I'm so disappointed in myself. So for a lot of people, we got to look to our habits. Like, these are just some examples. But where else are we wasting time? Where else in the day are we not being productive? And, this is common feedback I get as well. And sometimes like, yeah, but I just need to switch off and I just need to unwind and I just need to think. It's like, but why? What is going on? What is also going on in your life, right? Because this isn't now like, what's your problem? This is like, what is dysfunctional also in your life that now is needing the word need. You're becoming needy. I need to switch off. I need to doom scroll. I need to numb myself. This is like drinking alcohol to me. This is like, it's numbing, right? So that need comes from a dysfunction, right, in your life. It could be you're stressing yourself out too much. Again, dysfunctional thinking. It could be being too anxious, dysfunctional thinking. It could be something else in your life isn't productive or isn't right. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not saying that this is like you have a problem. I'm saying this is what we need to start to look at and identify. If you want to continue to get better in this space, but we've got these things literally just slowing you down, right? These anchors that you're just dragging along with you. And again, like I said, the whole point of talk is, if don't quit your day job. It's like, if only I had more time, right? Well, it's not just if you had more time, because this is what I find when people say we give them the more time, they lose their job. Like, we've all probably known this, right? Someone's like lost their job, right? They're in between jobs, right? They've been made redundant situation. They've quit their job. They got a bit of time and a bit of space, right? Now they're gonna get so fit, right? And they don't, right? Because they still have these ways of thinking, these anchors, these things that are slowing them down, that they're dragged along, right? And they haven't necessarily fixed, because you can't just click your fingers and now I'm just going to go run every day and I'm going to do that. So this is like, again, the realization of, we have to start to look at everything we do. So if you are someone that does work 9 to 5, right? Again, we want you to become more efficient. If you are working 9 to 5, then you have to be efficient with your time, right? You have to maximize it. Now, can you watch Netflix still? Yes. Can you still go on social media? Yes. But are you spending 4 hours a day doing it? Right? There's a problem. If only you had more time to train, right? Well, and this is another bit. This is literally my next point, right? We can also, right, it ties in nicely, we can habit stack, right? We can habit stack. So habit stacking is where you take two habits, you stack them on top of each other to be efficient. So again, it's a different way to think. Maybe you like Netflix. Amazing. Now you're like, Damo, I don't want to give up Netflix. I still want to watch my TV shows. Awesome. Buy a bike, put it in front of the TV, right? Habit stack. Now you can ride your bike, or you can do it, or you can run on the treadmill and watch TV there. So these are examples. Maybe you like listening to podcasts like the one you're listening to now. Maybe you're going to do it on your run. See how we can start to do two things at once. I was at the gym the other day. I was editing some footage. So I just did my workout and I'm like, well, I've got to piece it all together. But I normally do like, a bit of a cool down. So I spent, 20 minutes on the bike doing my edit, doing my cool down. I habit stacked to save time. So then I could be on track to complete the rest of my task. See, just an example. So we're going to look to do habit stacking. All right. Now, we spoke about as well, choosing the right goal, having the right expectation, and choosing actions that match it, right? So not only do we need to think about that, go, okay, what am I willing to do? What's my goal? What's my result, right? But then we got to create a plan around this, right? We've got to create a plan. We've got to zoom it out. Okay, now this, right? Because sometimes it could be the idea of, I want to start training, and I say it all the time because we do Hierarchs programming, and we have 3 programs. We have like beginner, intermediate, advanced. So all the way I like to look at it, 4-day, 5-day, and 6-day programs, because obviously more advanced people got more time to train, or do more training more often, so we can do more things with them in that program. So we see beginner type athletes, right, sign up to the advanced program because they want it. They want it. Their expectation. They want to train hard. They want to do it all at once. But their compliance on that program drops off significantly after 3 weeks, significantly. And then those people, right, we find that, 50% of them, if that, will complete it then to the end and get a really great result. Where the competency rate when beginners choose the beginner program, 90% plus complete the program and get really, really great results from it. Why, right? Why is this? It's because they create a plan that is in line with their lifestyle, their beliefs, right? Their habits, right? And then they can go and execute it better, right? So this is another thing. You got to create a plan that you can stick to. Hierarchs is all about pacing, right? The workout itself, it's pacing. You don't want to go out too hot, right? We talk about a lot of times. You don't want to get on that ski erg and go flat out and then blow up the rest of your race. But you got to look at this with Hierarchs training. If you're 12 weeks out, 6 months out, 12 months out, wherever you are, what's that pace? What's that pace I'm going? If you're going out 6 workouts a week, but the reality is you're only conditioned for 4, right? Again, this is where people are going to blow up. So this is tying back into, right, the title of you don't need to quit your job, right? Because if you need to squeeze in 6 workouts and they're an hour and a half long, you are going to feel like you're going to need to quit your job. But the problem could be, part of it is, I have chosen something that is overextending me. And again, I'm going to use the excuse that I don't have enough time, where I've just sort of proven to you, and we've got data to prove it, that people who train less can get a better result, can get fitter, right? This is the whole thing. How do we get you athlete results, right, without quitting your job? This is part of it. It's about being real with what you have available. Because Hierarchs as well, yes, there is so much to do. Running, strength training, Hierarchs training, zone 2 runs, tempo runs, hill runs, this, that, all the rest of it, it goes on and on and on. There literally is not enough time in the week, right? And we literally find this, even for people who are training 7 days a week, they don't have enough time in the week to do everything well, right? Because there's just so many different ways to do things. So there really is the idea, and a lot of us are familiar with this, is like quality over quantity, quality over quantity. Now in hybrid training, I believe this is more relevant than ever, right? If you can train with better quality, and this is actually a lot of what Hybrid Heroes is built on. We are built on quality training methods. Now, why do I say we're built on quality training methods? A, because we're good at what we do, but because we've done it for 18 years, because I've coached for 18 years, we're not just like an influencer program, actual personal trainer who's coached people for 18 years. And more importantly, even I believe, even sometimes what could be better than, having a Bachelor of Sports Science is I've got 18 years of experience of applying training programs and principles to people, right? To people to actually get the result. Because if we look textbook, of course we can come up with all these like fancy ways to train and this is ideal and all the rest, but it's like we fail to take in the individual. We fail to take in the 9-to-5 job. We fail to take in the person who's got a relationship, a family, who got all this kind of stuff, right? So that is why we need to look at quality methods. And to me, quality, and we want to talk about it a bit more too, is actually simple, right? It's things only get more complex and complicated, right, when we start to do too much, right? Because we need to create differences. We need to create point of differences and things, where the reality is it's like, just keep it simple, right? It's what the elite do, right? And this is like the big, this is like the big misconception. I hope this is eye-opening, because the elite just do really simple things really, really well. Beginners need to start off and do simple things. It's this middle ground where people think they need to be doing something more special. So beginners are always looking to advance to more special and complex types of training and modalities. And then the intermediates who then realize, right, because they've burnt out or they've hit the wall or they're not making any more progress, then realize that I actually got to go down to more simple structures. Structured more well, a plan, right? I've got to stick to the plan, because execution and quality is better than just volume, right? And quantity, right? And then that's where the breakthrough comes through. So, all right, let's continue. I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you how simple it can be, right? This is like a 3-day training blueprint. Now, you could actually be beginner, intermediate, you could be advanced, you could be even someone looking, right, to get a world championship qualifying spot, right? This 3-day blueprint, right, will be able to deliver you that result. Now, that just sounds silly, Damien. What are you saying? Well, what I'm going to say here now to back this is, obviously we've got to look at the different people. If you're a beginner, like training age, you're brand new, you've barely done weights, you've barely done anything, this 3-day blueprint is going to work really well for you. So it's not saying that this 3-day blueprint will take a beginner and turn them into a world championship qualified. No, right? If you're an intermediate athlete, just doing this 3-day blueprint will then allow you to continue to make progress. If you're a world-class athlete, if you do this 3-day blueprint, you have obviously 10 plus years of training under you. You have running experience, you have all that. If you do this with quality, you are still going to stay conditioned, stay in maintenance, and continue to make progress. So see how we got to understand that the training blueprints and programs, they don't need to necessarily vary a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, there are definitely things that people need to work on differently depending where you're at. But from a structure point of view, from a framework, a blueprint point of view, right, we can actually take the same concepts, right? Obviously, the different individual. So if you took like Tia Toomey, so, world number 1 CrossFitter, and you told her to run 1 kilometer 4 times, you can tell a beginner to do the exact same, except Tia is going to do it at her ability and the beginner is going to do it at their ability. They can still make progress from that simple approach, that simple design, right? So what is that 3-day blueprint? All right. Now I just want to give people just a real clear understanding of how simple sometimes you can look at your training. Because if you're someone, again, that's like, I got a job, I got 9 to 5, I don't have enough time to do 6 workouts a week. Well, you're over complicating it, right? We're over analyzing it. So day number 1 can be a strength day, full body strength session. You're going to lift weights, you're going to move them, bodybuilding style work, movements, isolations, compounds, full strength day. Day number 2, you're going to do a conditioning day. That could just be a long zone 2 run week 1, maybe week 2 on your conditioning day could be an interval run. See, you don't need to do it all in 1 week. It can change week to week. And that might be it. You might do week 1, zone 2, week 2, interval, week 3, zone 2, week 4, interval. That could be a very simple structure, right, to keep moving forward. And then session number 3 can be a high rock session. It can be a 40-minute to 60-minute high rock session where you're doing all the movements in a HIIT style workout. Could be at an F45, a BFT, could be at in your own garage gym. If you do those 3 types of workouts consistently every single week and write the program so it's not varied every week, it's almost identical week to week. And why that is important, it's like, let's just take strength training, because I think this is sometimes like an easier way to think of it. If you're doing like a bench press, 40 kilos, right? Next week, you don't need to then do single arm, cable flyers to increase your bench press. You do bench press again. You try to do 42.5. And then week 3, you don't, do push-ups, with claps. You go bench press again. I'm going to try to do 45. So see how by being just consistent, keeping it simple, but just using that controlled consistency as a way to create, to monitor measurability. So 40, 42.5, 45. If you do that over 3 weeks, you're getting stronger. So same if you're running, you just need to run 30 minutes at a 5:30 pace. Then I'm going to run 35 minutes at a 5:30 pace. Then I'm going to run 40 minutes at a 5:30 pace. Right now, if I go back to 30 minutes, I can now run it at a 5:10 pace. I'm going to do that. See, it's just very, very simple by nature. And high rocks. Well, all right, high rocks, I need skill. I need to acquire the skill of doing all these movements. So that is the major benefit of that. Not only am I getting fitter, but I'm getting used to doing these movements. If you just did that 3 sessions a week, I don't care who you are, right? You will make progress. You will make progress. Obviously, again, an advanced person is going to execute it to an advanced standard. A beginner person is going to execute it to a beginner standard. Intermediate will do it the same. But as long as you are measurable, as long as you can reflect last week and know how to improve it this week, e.g. the 40 kilo, all right, I got to do 42.5, or the run, I was running at 5:30, now I got to run, either 5 minutes longer, so time or speed, or a little bit quicker, right? So see, a lot of time we overcomplicate because we're not tracking, we're not measuring our results. All right. So this is a big thing. So I really hope this makes sense. Now, this, you could take that. You could just take that and write your own program. You can even put that in ChatGPT. ChatGPT, Hybrid Hero said, I need 1 strength day, 1 conditioning day, 1 hybrid interval day. Can you please write out 12 weeks of high rocks training for me? It will do that. Make it measurable, make it consistent, right? And it will give you a great program. It is that simple. Anybody can do that. Okay. So let's move on to the next topic. All right. So now that we got a training blueprint, now we're really starting to understand, you know what? I can do this. I can, with the time I have, or the limited time with the kids around the house, I can still do this. Now we have to prioritize, right? We're going back to that idea: discipline, choices, actions, right? You don't need motivation. Motivation actually gets us in trouble. I already spoke about, what it does. Those people who are over-motivated, right? We then want to train too much. We sign up to the advanced program. We overcommit, right? It's almost like potentially, and there'll be a few that might resonate with this. Maybe you get over-motivated into a relationship. You dive too head in and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I shouldn't have done that. Example. So motivation can get us in trouble, right? So what we don't need to feel motivated. We need to create priorities, right? Again, starting with the result. What's the goal? What am I willing to do? Now I have to prioritize my week, right? And, what does that mean? Okay, well, for, again, 98% of us, you have to go to work. Because if you don't go to work, you can't pay the bills. And if you can't pay the bills, no point worrying about high rocks. You got to figure out where you're going to live, right? So work is a priority. Don't fight it. Don't restrict it. It's there. Just go, that's my work. It ain't going to change. And I don't want it to change because I prioritize it as number 1. Now, outside of that, then you got to go, well, what's my next priority? Okay, could be training, family, kids. You got to list all your priorities. Once you get all these priorities in order, and you realize what you want to achieve, and they change all the time, right? Maybe you're getting ready for high rocks. So the high rocks in your training has gone up a priority over a few things just for now. And that's the other thing that we realize when we set priorities is it's just a now thing. It's not a forever. It could be a forever. Maybe you want it to be a forever, but it doesn't need to be. Okay. So we got to then set those priorities. Now, once we start to set the priorities, now we can start to schedule, right? Once we start to schedule, when am I going to train? When am I going to eat? When am I going to sleep? When am I going to, all these things. Now, life doesn't need to be so regimented, right? Not everything needs to be perfect, but we do need a framework. We need a direction. We need a plan. We need a rough outline at the very minimum, right? And then from there, we can keep refining that and getting better. And there's a lot of people too that love being organized, love a schedule. So these people go nuts, right? But once we get that schedule, once we get our priorities in order, and once we can take something like a blueprint, like a 3-day blueprint, and put it on that schedule, put it on that plan, and it fits with all the priorities, right? This is when now, again, we don't need necessarily motivation, but we're excited. We can see how this can be actually real, how we can actually do this. Then what we need from here, right? Now, this is literally where the results and everything happens. Now you just got to take action. You literally just have to go and execute. It is as simple as that, right? There is no more. You don't need motivation. You don't need to feel good. You don't need the stars to align. You don't need the moon and the tide and all of, the earth rotating at a certain speed to align perfectly for you to lace your shoes up and just go for a run, right? You don't. You just need to go, that's when I said I was going to do it. That's when I'm going to do it. Now, the other thing, if this is a new plan and a new schedule, right, your body's not going to want to do it. Like, you're not going to want to do it. If you're changing your schedule, if you're changing your plan, if you're changing your habits and your routine, your brain is going to say, what are you doing? Like, this isn't normal. Are you sure you want to do that? Maybe do it tomorrow. Like, maybe you didn't eat enough. Maybe you want some food first and then go do that. It's like, it's going to come up with all of these excuses to want to keep you comfortable, to keep you safe, to keep you away from the lion that potentially is going to eat you on your run, right? The body's built for survival, where we got to break through that. Like, I've been running every single Wednesday, right? Now, this is not to brag or anything. Well, it's just a run. So I've been running every Wednesday for like the last, since January 2024, right? Every Wednesday. Haven't missed a Wednesday. Even today, right? I still go, fuck, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. to go for a run. My brain still says that. But what has happened now is when I get my shoes on, I just go through a routine. Sometimes I end up at our meeting spot where we run, and I don't even know how I got there. Like, it's become automatic, right? So that's the thing. The physical body and your mind, right, are two different things. The mind always wants comfort, right? It doesn't necessarily just adapt to it and it's easy. And if it's still challenging you, if it's still pushing you, if you're still growing, it is still going to want you to go to the path of least resistance, right? So again, we just have to understand that. I understand it. I go, cool. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. My brain is telling me, like, don't, but I'm just going to go do it because I know I'm fine when I get there. I know the run's great. I know I feel better later. See how we just have to then see execution. It's just getting into those habits, right? But I just want to let you know that sometimes, not everything then just feels amazing. You got to keep pushing through. You got to keep working. Okay. So these plans and these things, right, they become non-negotiables. They should become like, a no matter what, right? It's called like your no matter what plan, right? No matter what, I'm going to do here. And that's why it's really important as well to start with less than more, right? Because a lot of us, we just jam it on, right? Well, we want the maximum amount. We want to do all that we can. Well, it's like, prove to yourself, like, in training, in our methodology and principles, like, you got to be able to crawl before you can walk before you can jog before you can run, right? Well, you got to be able to do 4 sessions a week, not once a week, like for 4 weeks in a row. Then we can go to 5 sessions. Then, but if you're someone that's already proven to be doing 5 or 6 sessions, great. And then it's like, do you do 2-hour sessions? No, well, just nail the 45, then nail the 60 minute. So it doesn't matter where you're at, right? This rule still applies. All right. So prioritization, right? no motivation, discipline, non-negotiables. Now I'm going to talk about it very quickly, because I need to get an expert on here very soon, right? To really give you all the complexities, right? Nutrition, right? You're probably like, shit, what's he going to say now about nutrition, right? You got to track your food. It's as simple as that. I'm not even going to explain why, right? If you're asking me why do I need to track my food, really, you got to track your food, all right? If you don't track your food, you're just guessing. So if you're feeling fat, if you're feeling like you're not losing weight, if you're feeling like you're not performing, if you're feeling like you don't have the energy to sustain, right? It's not that complicated. You just got to measure what is going into your body accurately. You'll either find you're not eating enough carbohydrates, enough food, right? Or you're eating too much of it and too much of the things that you shouldn't be eating, like too much fats, too much oils, too much, carbs, right? In hybrid training, I actually don't come across too many people that eat too much carbs, right? This is like a key thing. We need so much carbs, but a lot of times we're blowing it out with alcohol, right? We're blowing it out with fats. Fats are good, but not too much, right? Which then blow out your calorie intake, all right? So you've got to get nutrition on order. It's got to become a priority. But again, going back, what's your goal? What's your result? If you're just like Joanne, who just wants to, go have fun, right? And just do it for friends in the relay, right? You don't have to be a Michelin chef and track all your food exactly. But if you're someone that wants to make progress, right? You don't need to necessarily train harder and just punish yourself on the air bike or go for that run when you don't, that third run that you don't need to because you're just going to think that running can solve it, right? Hopefully this makes sense. You might just need to track your food, right? And then by tracking and getting the right amount of food in, you might find all those results unlock, right? And again, that 3-day blueprint works even better. Amazing. How good is it? It's very eye-opening. It's very eye-opening when we can look at it this way. All right. So now we're going to go on to the next part, right? And this goes, everything basically saying, right? Goes in line with, you just got to train smarter, right? Yes, you still got to train hard. Hard work is inevitable. It's like, the reality is hard work should be the default. We shouldn't even have to say you have to train hard, right? But you must train smart. You just can't just go out there with no plan, no direction, right? No sense of repeatability, no sense of insight into what you want to do, right? And just going out there and, then just putting in the work, the hard work. That's like saying, I want to build a house. So I'm just going to work hard. I'm just going to get wood and I'm just going to nail it together. And I'm going to get bricks. I'm going to just put them on top of each other. And I'm just going to work my ass off. And by the end of it, if you can picture this happening, it just might be just a whole pile of bricks and wood nailed and stuck together and stacked on top of each other in a very, just looks like a pile of rubbish, right? You have to have a plan. You need, the wood needs to, go into the ground a certain way and certain angle. See, does that make sense? I think that's a great way to look at it, right? So that's why you must train smart, right? Or else there is no doubt you might be putting in the work, you might be putting in 10 hours a day to that work site, but your result might look like a pile of rubbish, right? And what does that mean as far as high rocks training in the human body? That might mean burnt out. That might mean putting on weight, mentally frustrated, mentally exhausted, injured, right? Upset. You become more moody, right? You become just, not the best version of yourself, right? And then you get to high rocks and you absolutely can just, your hormone imbalances can be there, energy low, and you punish yourself and you push yourself so hard, and then you never want to do it again because it just felt like such a big thing to do. And then even the thought of going, how do I improve on that? You know what I mean? I got to do that harder. And, I see it all the time. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Hence why we need smarter concepts. All right. Now, again, you're a busy person. You're working 9 to 5. You've got all these other priorities and commitments in your life, right? You have to be recovering too, because again, some people just think I got to train more. Again, going back to just this idea of a 3-day blueprint, right? And how you can get better results. Well, if I focus on recovery as well, so what does that mean? Better sleep. What's going to happen if I get better sleep? My muscles are going to absorb the training. They're going to get stronger. They're going to be able to produce more power, more output, be more efficient on a muscular and cellular level. So if you're only getting 6 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, don't train more, just sleep more, right? It's as simple as that. It could be recovery, it could be just going for a little walk out on the office, not just sitting at your desk all day or sitting at your lunch break, moving the body, getting blood flow around the body. It could be going to recovery centers. Recovery centers are all over the place, right? Nowadays, you can do that. Nutrition is part of that, right? You eating better, making sure you're fueling, carbs, proteins, right? Hydration, getting the water in is going to be so key to recovery. So again, you don't need more time, right? You need to prioritize this, because again, I know a lot of people who work 9 to 5 and have that, reason of there's not, I don't, if only I had all day to train like you. These people are the ones who also would not have a clue how much water they're drinking a day, right? Now, I'm not saying it's everyone, right? But these are all the things. The whole talk is about shining light on all the things that you can look at, right? All right, your environment. This is another one. See, everything matters. See, it's not just training. Some people just think to get good at high rocks or get good at sport, it's just training. Like, I just got to train better. It's not. It's like, so we're even diving here, your environment. Who are your friends, right? Who is your partner? Who are your co-workers? Like, this is, I don't mean this to be like a triggering, like, dive into your personal life, but obviously it's just me and you here, right? And you can think about this yourself, but it's like, do you need more time? Do you need to be better at this? Do you need to be better at that? Or are you someone who's got, a partner? Maybe you do, a relationship that is really challenging, that, your partner doesn't support you in your goals, makes your life harder to achieve it, just doesn't understand why you do it, right? It might not be the case, right? Is your family like that? Your family doesn't understand why you do it, or, it's just you're around people that don't inspire you or pick you up or make you feel what you're doing is even normal. You feel like you're doing totally abnormal things. And that's why when we all get to a High Rocks event, what do? We love it, because we're like, wait a minute, there's 10,000 crazy people here just like me. And it's so exciting. But it's like, do you interact with people like that on a weekly or daily basis? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're very, isolated and you don't really engage with a lot of people too. So creating an environment. Now, creating an environment can be obviously joining, a club. So like, functional training facility. I can be joining online, Hybrid Heroes online. We have ways to connect with people online, coaching, support, all that kind of stuff. Maybe inviting your friends down and do the same sort of training, like meeting new people, going to other events and meeting people, and then, engaging with them and training with them more often. Your environment is going to be a huge edge to your training. So I'm going to say it now for the future. So we got Gabrielle and Nicola, who are going to World Championships in Chicago in June. Now, I believe, like these girls, I do believe that they're going to podium. Guaranteed they're going to podium, right? They got some tough competition in mind. And when I say tough, like T. Toomey, Joanna Wettrick, they're, biggest competitors. But one thing that is going to be really, really good to see, these girls have had such an amazing environment. So they've got a lot of really, like if you follow us on socials especially, we have a huge training crew every Friday, but we also got quite small knit training group of us that train all during the week as well together. This is just, it's been a huge difference. Now, you need to go get 30 people around you every single Friday. If you're in Melbourne, come on down. No, but it's like, what you do need is you need people around you who push you, who challenge you, who are also wanting to be the best version of themselves, so you can be the best version of yourself. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and only over the last 12 months has this been created. I've been part of groups like this similar. So it's not something that is common, but it's something that if you do have just you and a best friend who do it every week, you really got to identify how special that is and really use that, because that can be a very important part of your results, right? So, and if not, I strongly recommend that you go find community people you can get around, or like in this day and age, you can connect with people. So, even after this podcast, send me a message and just say hi and update. That can be enough just to, prioritize yourself to go into training with intention, right? So environment is huge, and we're going to see that, all right? We're going to see that come World Champs, right? When you see these girls, they're crushing it, they're killing it, right? We know that, and this does not take away who they are as athletes or any of their efforts, right? But I literally say to them, it's a team effort, right? So you got to look to your team. Who are the people around you pushing you, right? And I believe we're going to see this payoff with these girls in world championships. It's going to be so clear. It's going to be very clear. So it's going to be very exciting to watch. All right. Okay, we're getting towards the end, people. We're going to wrap it up soon. Don't worry. So tracking progress without obsession is the next point, right? I've touched on it as well. You got to track, you got to measure. Okay, but we can't get obsessed, right? That's the thing that sometimes I think, some people, we just get too far, right? We need to make sure we're still having fun with it, right? We've got to go back to what is the result? Go back to the top. What's the result? Is it all business? Is it all serious? Or do you actually want to enjoy your training? Do you want to enjoy the people you train with? Do you want to enjoy your training program, right? So this is really important. 3-day blueprint. Do 3 things that you enjoy doing, right? That's still in line with getting the result and the goal. Where a lot of people are doing things that they don't enjoy doing. And, obviously Hybrid Heroes, we're in the world of programming, and, a lot of feedback that we get and a lot of our clients that actually get onto our program come from other programs. And they're just like, yeah, we're just doing things that I didn't want to do. I didn't enjoy doing it, right? Like someone was like, they're running 75K plus a week. This is like an intermediate type athlete. So again, I mentioned earlier on the call as well, one of my super strengths is knowing how to apply this training to people. So that's one thing that we do. We don't just give you, this is like a world-class, it's going to make you a Hyrox pro. No, this is a program designed for people, normal people, right, who want to be better versions of themselves. And it comes from a PT point of view. So that's why we give you things that you enjoy doing, that you like doing, that build you up, not just break you down. And that's going to be a really important part. And then we can then track, then we can monitor, but we find that enjoyment rather than obsess, right, about I got to do 75K a week. I got to do, like, we get more obsessed about showing off our Strava data, right, because we gain acknowledgement, right? And then again, we need something, we need acknowledgement versus just purely enjoying the journey, right? So we got to get to that point that we are not obsessed or obsessed in negative ways. Enjoy the journey. Alice KD say it very well. It's blasted over their things. It's enjoy the journey. And part of that enjoyment is also, when we can track and reflect on the week, right? Because a lot of people, I think, fail to do this. They fail to reflect. And reflection allows you to acknowledge the progress you make. So like Alice KD, I'm just going to drop it again. Big slogan of theirs is just 1% better every day, right? I've got it literally here on my computer screen in front of me. It's you just need to get 1% every day, 1% better every day, right? A lot of us, we just fail to look at that and we just still see what we're not, right? And not what we're becoming along the way. So that is also a big part of, sort of tracking and monitoring and doing the things you love is you will make that progress. But then reflect on it rather than just, put your head down or have your head, again, going back to another negative habit, too much social media, too much thing, just not feeling enough, self-comparison, all those things. If you want to know more about self-comparison, I have a previous podcast, which was a really great podcast where we dive into it because that's the whole subject. So you can always go back and listen to that one. All right, now a couple little case studies to finish here, just because I've got it here on my notes. So I've seen this firsthand. So again, I spoke about myself, used to work 9 to 5, then I now became PT, everything opened up to me, and I didn't necessarily get any better results. If anything, I just found myself eating more food, drinking more lattes, and still kept the same. So I noticed firsthand, you have to make those choices and priorities in your life, or else you will get the same result, regardless of how much time you have available. So I've, my partner, one thing I noticed with her, she works a 9 to 5, she works corporate, she works sales, right? And it's very stressful. And I've seen firsthand that she didn't prioritize training, which was normal because she was doing a lot in her life. But she was also someone that needed to sleep in the 7:30, needed, couldn't get up any earlier, so forth, so on. She did a Hyrox, and then she came out of it. She was like, I want that burning desire, right? Came into her. And what I saw was her priority shift. I saw it firsthand. Then she was getting up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym, right? And same time, same job, same stress, same everything. But she then prioritized and said, I got to get up earlier. So we get to bed slightly earlier. She gets up earlier. Go to bed slightly earlier. She gets up slightly earlier. And she has just continued to make progress and progress and progress from someone who was a complete beginner couldn't run to someone now who is doing 2 high roxes this year, leveling up a category, and is making progress, right? She's still beginner intermediate type athlete, but again, just that one shift changed everything. She's now running like 4:45s for 800s on the treadmill, where the thought of her running for anything, 4-minute pace on anything, just wouldn't even be heard of before this. And this all happened within 6 months, right? Within 6 months. So huge kudos to her. Another sort of story that I want to share you is I had a really good friend of mine, a client, now a really great friend of mine. He's an ultra Ironman, right? So a different sort of sport. But just I use the example because I share this so much of the time. He is, he's a father. He is a husband. He works full time at a university, and he still trains like 1 to 2 sessions a day because he's basically a professional Ironman. So this is like one thing that I see with people is like he just gets up super early and he does his training at night and he makes no excuses. He just gets it done, and he's an amazing father and an amazing dad to his child. So it's because he doesn't have time to think about the excuses. He just needs to go and get it all done. So I've seen it firsthand. He's been doing this for years and years and years. So again, everyone's situation is different, but it's like, sometimes it's like, what is truly your situation? And is it really that big of a deal? Not to say it's not, but sometimes it's like, we can just get out there and do it. All right, guys, this was a huge episode. I really loved it because I know so many people are in this position. So if any of this resonates with you, I'd love to know your comments. Send me a message. I always love to hear from you guys. If you need help with programming, I gave you a 3-day blueprint, right? But if we need something a little bit more sound than that, if you want the exact plan, and I'm talking the exact plan, strength training, running, station work, high rocks, whatever it is, we have like so many programs to help you. Doesn't matter what your goal is or who you are. I've got the link below to our website. You can jump on it right now. I know there's a discount on there as well. It does change, so be quick. I think it's 25% off right now, but just jump onto it because it's for Easter. Get a program, get structure, get help, right? And it can change everything. But if not, also know that you got the tools, right? So you can go do it as well. So either way, guys, can't wait to see you on the next podcast. Can't wait to see you guys at next High Rocks. Our next one for myself is going to be High Rocks Sydney. So I know a lot of people in our community are training for that, which is going to be really exciting. And yeah, other than that, guys, keep training hard and smart and prioritize. And I'll talk to you all very soon. Goodbye.